Welcome to the Downs College Soccer School Guide for 2025, which is our 10th year of this fantastic program. As you can see in that first slide, we focus on stress and adaptation, which I'll speak about throughout this presentation. So our Downs College Soccer School was formed in 2015 as an idea to supplement and implement some world's best practices to help develop young players in Australia, but also to give all children the opportunity to grow and develop themselves playing this fantastic game. With the Downs College Soccer School, we have this major focus on no one is above the group. So the idea is that everybody in our group, in our squads, in our program is all part of a bigger picture, and that is to make the program better and to improve it so that when they leave and finish the program, hopefully at the end of year 12, that the program and the place is in a better place than when they found it. So this is our coaching staff from our external point of view. We have Sarah Lorca on the far left-hand side up the top there. Sarah is an ex-student, and our major medal at the school is named after her for her brilliant time and achievements at the school throughout her collegiate career. We have Tony Belika, who is our goalkeeper coach, our head goalkeeper coach, who works at Western United in the A-League W as the head goalkeeper coach there, and also at St Albans Saints Soccer Club. We have Michael Vonya, who is a current A-League contracted player with Western United. Michael is also a former student at our school, and there is a medal for the best goalkeeper of the year named after Michael, and that is the Michael Vonya medal. And he comes back and coaches our younger goalkeepers. We have Sebastian, who is also an ex-student at Downs College. He's currently studying a teaching degree and is well on his way to becoming a qualified teacher and has been with us for 3 years. Octavio on the bottom left is another former student who is currently studying at university and playing football for Yarraville in the State League One competition. Next to him, we have Robbie Farquharson, also another former student who is currently playing for Clifton Hill in the State League One, is also studying at university. We have our latest addition to our coaching team, which is Sophie Sistanis, and Sophie has come to us as head of strength and conditioning with a well-established career at Melbourne Victory and Heidelberg United in the NPLW as an S&C coach. And we have Matt Conversano, who's also joined us this year, who's also studying teaching and is currently working at Western United in their higher end academy teams after spending several years at Melbourne City. These coaches join us before and after school for various sessions, and they're part of our coaching roster and coaching family. Going to the very beginning and foundation of this program, the two people in that picture, the first one without any hair is myself. My name is Josip Lončarić. I've been here for 17 years, and I have been developing this program with the guy next to me in that photo, George Kataforis, who's been here for 35 years, since 2014 when we came up with the idea and launching it in 2015. We've got a long career in education as teachers and in football, and we basically take every opportunity to learn, grow, and develop ourselves further. This is an example of what our calendar would look like if for the start of the year, and we'll talk through the phases and the development groups, and that'll make a lot more sense to our students once they start and we have this meeting with them face to face. So over the last couple of years, we've created a new way of development for our students, and we've called it the phase model. So we have 4 phases. One is the foundation development phase. The second is the intermediate development phase. The third is the advanced development phase. And then the final stage is the senior performance phase. And we basically like players and staff to progress through these phases over the course of the 6 years that they're with us, and it's all at their own pace depending on how much time they put into their practice and training. As you can see in the foundation development phase, there's a lot of isolated work to begin with a stable foundation. We'll do lots of visual exploration and scanning activities through rondos and small-sided games, and develop some coordination and balance that is really going to keep them in good stead and prevent injury in the future. The second phase that follows on from that one would have a little bit more in terms of dynamic functional technique, so technical development with pressure, with players around them, with jokers, bouncers, those sort of magic players, whatever you want to call them. We'll have positional games where they're starting to understand areas of the field and keeping shape, and then continue to develop them through small-sided games with larger numbers so that they can add combination play, third man runs, movements like that. Once they've sort of progressed through this phase successfully, we'd like to put them in more positional games in the advanced development phase, lots of overload games, lots of breakaway transition games, lots of work in 8v8 and then larger size stuff, and lots of themed tactical sessions so they could start to gauge an understanding of how tactics influence footballers and their movements in a game. And the last one there is the senior performance phase, where it is focused on winning games at the back end of their time at school. That's in the Premier League Cup competition. And the reason we do that is we want to have a structure in place so that when they're competing, they can try and execute the game plan to the best of their abilities. And then we film the match, review it later, and have discussions on how they can improve themselves. And all of this is to benefit them on their football journey when they finish at Keilor Downs College. So there's a little bit more detail there, but this is all in our curriculum, which I'll go through in a moment. And it just gives you some indicators on how a person would progress through the phases. And it's not based on their age, it's based on how much effort they put in and how fast their development is. And as we know with children, development is very varied between each and every child. So sometimes you'll have a kid that is an early developer technically, but a late developer physically, and they struggle to compete in a larger age group, and on the vice versa, sometimes will be technically, developmentally quite small, but technically exceptionally well, and they may be able to cope with a heavier opponent or challenge. And it's all relative and it's all changeable, and these phases are interchangeable with the players throughout the year. So if a player shows great promise in the foundation development phase, we may put them up to intermediate for a 5-week cycle and just see how they survive and adapt. So going back to that first one, stress and adaptation, we need to stress them in a positive way where we challenge them to become better, to move the ball faster, to make quicker decisions in a safe environment. And that's what we provide at Keilor Downs College. And once they've kind of nailed that, or they've developed a comfort zone, we push them out of their comfort zone and push them up to the next zone and challenge them that way. The same process is for the boys and for the girls. And to get to the top phase, all of our players and our students need to have a positive attitude. They need to be dedicated and put in extra work. Resilience is extremely important. So setbacks will happen. We acknowledge that and we accept that. It's how you bounce back from that that's important. Are they a respectful person to all of our coaching staff and to other staff at around the school and referees, obviously, when they're playing matches? Are they accepting of criticism as a tool for their development rather than something personal? And lastly, are they able to reflect? And a person that reflects is always going to produce better results long term because they'll be thinking about how they can do things better. Always keep in mind though, it's designed to help our students in our program, in our school, understand to become a top footballer, you have to learn to compete every single day. And competition is a healthy thing. It means that you're always trying to get the upper hand, trying to perform better, trying to find ways to solve problems in the game day in, day out. Sometimes you'll win as a result of that. A lot of the time you won't win, but you'll gain knowledge and experience and development, and that's so important. And it's never going to be considered a personal attack on somebody if they're not in the group that they want to be in or they think they should be in, more a discussion of how they should get there and what they should do. Every person in the program is valued and every person has their own maximum potential. And I can't crystal ball gaze that and put a ceiling on any player, because sometimes we get it wrong as coaches, and players that we assume are fading away all of a sudden come back with a renewed energy after school holidays and they accelerate their development. And sometimes on the flip side, an early developing child that has a lot of success and then faces a few setbacks struggles a little bit with that. Each person is an individual. They're human beings in front of us, and we focus on developing the human being using football as our vehicle and our mechanism. Ideally, the aim is to bring people through those phases and get as many as we can to the senior performance phase. We do acknowledge that not all players want to get to that level of play. They just enjoy the game for a couple of years and they find other interests later on, and that's fine. If we form good habits, we're happy with that. As you can see with the picture of the banana beside the funnel, Everyone matures at a different time, and that maturation time can take a while. And when it does ripen and the fruit is ready, for that analogy, then that's when the player is ready to go up to the next level or to be recommended to an A-League Academy club or an NPL women's club, or the NTC and Football Victoria Emerging Program. So this is a snapshot of our curriculum, which we designed exclusively and specifically for our students. It was designed over the last 3 or 4 years to become a evolving document. So we're happy to share this with any of our parents and families. I'm the one that wrote the program over time, and over that time I've learned a lot and changed a lot, adapted a lot of my coaching, obviously through my experiences and developing myself through coach education. And also, what we've learned through this program is that not every session will work for every child. So the principles of play, which you just saw in the previous picture, are very important to us, and understanding what to do with the ball and without the ball, as a team, as an individual. And we drum that into our students really early through some of their learning tasks as well. We look at some of the finer details of football because we understand that we are trying to develop quality individuals that will eventually be good in a team if they have the tools to succeed. We'll use lots of rondos and small-sided games to improve their touch and speed execution, but a lot of our rondos will have a moving element to them. And basically what we're trying to do is give our players the best possible football education based on what we know they will need in senior football to survive and to thrive. So everything that we invest into them early on, although you may not see the fruits of that and they may not see it themselves early in their development, rest assured that it is a stable program and it's a program that follows logical sequence in development. And we back ourselves to execute it properly because we've been doing it for so long and learning how to do it better every single year. One of the key focuses we teach the kids is how to defend properly, which we think is an art that is sadly lacking in youth development. Everything's about with the ball, but without the ball is half the battle in a game. Things like scanning and looking behind your shoulder and taking perception from your environment is huge for us, and that's something we've been PDing ourselves on for years. And we know that there are some fundamentals in the game, as the great Johan Cruyff says there, that will never change. We've always eaten with a knife and fork, and we'll probably still eat with a knife and fork in the future. And there's just some examples of some of the sessions that we've designed or parts of a session that we would use to bring these skills to life and to bring these sessions to life. A lot of the time we will film these sessions as well and put them up as private YouTube videos that are unlisted, but we share them with you as family members so that you can have a look through them, and also your child can look at them and see how they're developing and progressing. So the curriculum we will continue to add sessions as we learn them, and as we develop ourselves as coaches. And like I said, this is just a snapshot of what we would be doing over the course of 6 years of developing your child. And we will share this with you. We'll share with all of our students on Microsoft Teams when they join the program, and you're free to download it, save yourself a copy. We didn't design it to make profit. We designed it to make quality footballers. This is an example of what a week may look like for a player at the Keilor Downs College, depending on their age group and which level they're in, and also the timetabling, which will be different each year and usually each semester. So sometimes they may have soccer first thing in the morning, sometimes it'll be middle of the day, periods 3 and 4, and sometimes it'll be after lunch. And then our after school sessions, weather permitting, are usually done from 3:10 to 4:40. And then after that, we would do our morning sessions with our S&C coach for slightly older kids that are a little bit more developed, and then our goalkeeper training, which is specific to that position and we think a huge part of their development. In the strength and conditioning program, largely we've gone with Wednesday and Friday morning as the most popular choice for kids to come in. It's a 7:30 a.m. start to 8:30 a.m. We've generally gone with year 10, 11 and 12 students, but occasionally year 9 students will get permission from parents to come and join in. Sophie runs that very well, uses WhatsApp to communicate sessions, and gives lots of individualized training programs for each student. And it's something that players that want to take their game seriously are going to have to learn to develop as part of their general training. And we find that the players that sort of take it on board, get used to that routine of getting up early, generally perform better at school as well because their brain and their body is awake for the first class of the day after the adrenaline rush of a good workout. So how does it look over the course of their journey? So years 7, 8 and 9, our class session during PE lessons will start together. So the boys and girls will train together. In that time, they'll be forming friendships. They'll be playing together, training together, and we'll focus on forming stable technique that they can use to get them through the other phases and to perform well at club trials and in club football. Then we start to merge the squads from year 9 into 10, 10 into 11, and 11 into 12. Then we start to build some squads for inter-school sports competitions, Bill Turner competition, developing their tactical awareness and making sure that they understand how they function as a fullback and what their role might be when they invert, for example, using the jargon that coaches use. And then the final phase is the Premier League Cup, which is an 11 and 12 competition for girls. It can be year 10s as well if they're up to standard. And then we compete together, where in the last couple of years, in 2022 and 2023, our boys won back-to-back state championships, beating Maribyrnong in 2023 and John Faulkner College in 2022, which is a big achievement for us as a school because we are not a select entry academy-based scholarship school. We just take kids from our region and our zone and we develop what comes to us. So we don't go and poach and look for players, which is a fantastic part of the program, and we think it's a huge asset to us to work with a child for 6 years and develop a strong relationship where they become really close with us and we almost become probably their most important coach during that developmental phase because we're consistently here for them and they can see us every day. So some of the opportunities and challenges we had in 2024, we had the School Sports Victoria Inter-School Sports teams, the Premier League Cup for senior players, which is usually done in term 1, Bill Turner Cup trophy, which now will be for 2011 born children. So it's an under 15s national tournament. It's a knockout cup like the Australia Cup for the seniors. And whereby if you win in Victoria, you start to go to New South Wales, and then eventually I think the finals are in Sydney. We have Brimbank Cup futsal, or Keilor Division futsal as they call it, and other tournaments that may come up, futsal and local. And obviously some friendly matches against other schools and sometimes even against club teams. So our senior boys will play a State League 1 team in a couple of weeks just for a bit of practice ahead of the school term break or school year break, and that'll help them develop as a team for next year. And sometimes we'll have some end of season tournaments depending on who's hosting at what time, and they're always fun to sort of wrap up the year with. What we look for in players can probably be best summed up by this quote by the great Alex Ferguson, where courage isn't shown by the person who wants the ball when we're 2-0 up. It's shown by the person who demands the ball when we're 1-0 down. So when players stand up and want to be challenged, we're used to losing. We can live with losing. We understand that youth football trophies don't mean much in the long term of development of players. What we want our children to do is always compete, always be their best and give their best. And if they're good enough on the day, technically they'll win the game. If they're not, they'll lose the game and they'll learn from it and they'll get on with it. We never hang our heads down after a performance as long as we've given it our all, and we never boast about a victory as long as we've given it our all as well. So it's all about being humble and developing character. And we understand that it takes time. Development takes time. Development of any child, any person takes time. Overnight success is a myth. And you've heard of the iceberg illusion, and taking the stairs there's so many analogies and so many metaphors that you can use. But the reality is, if you put in the work over a long period of time and you really are dedicated and you truly love what you're doing, eventually you'll get reward. That reward may be playing MPL senior football for men's and women's and making a bit of a side income and experiencing some success. For some students, it may be professional football and a full-time contract, and maybe a trip overseas or a contract overseas. For a lot of players, it may just be you finish the soccer school program and you play indoor soccer with your friends or social soccer on the weekend, keeping yourself fit and active. And for us, that's a huge win while you go to university or you do an apprenticeship or a TAFE course. So the idea is that the person is going to develop over a period of time, and we need to be there for them as parents and as students. So players are required on the pitch in the full KDC Soccer School uniform at the beginning of each session. They do get to wear the uniform on the days that they have training. They need to bring their shin pads, provide their own drink bottle filled with water. We have taps right near the pitch so they can fill up their bottle with cold water anytime. Boots and runners are required. Obviously, they'll wear runners to school, put their boots on for the session, unless we say you don't need boots for whatever reason. And we are massive on the academic effort of a student. And I stress the word effort because not every child is going to get a 99.95 ATAR, but every child is capable of doing their absolute best. So we like to see at least 50% on an average grade. I think it should be much higher, but we'll live with 50% for now as long as you are putting in your effort. If a student falls behind in their classwork over a period of time and they don't display school-wide positive behaviour, they won't train or represent the school. It's happened a lot of times before to kids. Some have accepted it and gotten on with it and taken the consequence, and some have chosen to leave the program and regretted it later, and that's fine. We're not going to change our morals and ethics because, like we said, we are developing a person, a human being that we want to have a strong character for their future. We don't negotiate on any of these terms. We use Microsoft Teams and Compass as our form of communication, and we also have a distribution list email for all parents. We want our students to check Teams and Compass because it's part of their daily program to use those bits of software for their classes and obviously for their timetables. So it's important that they use it and check it regularly. And we use our year 8 to 12 students to help mentor the year 7s early on in their time. And we're always available as teachers. In terms of social media, you probably have found bits and pieces of our stuff on Facebook and on Instagram. I think it's a very wholesome channel. It's all just about what we're trying to develop here. I'll film and put lots of videos of mistakes and passes that don't go. So we don't sugarcoat it. We just show what we're doing. Our YouTube channel has both private videos, like I mentioned before, for you guys to watch at home, and also has public videos, lots of interviews with ex-Socceroos and ex-students of the college and A-League professional players, male and female. So there's some great content there for you to watch. And for all of our students and for you as parents, what goes up may never come down because a screenshot can be kept for life, even if you delete a post. So it's being aware of social media. I don't think we can block it out completely, but I think we just need to be conscious that how we use it's really important long term. So our long-term focus is development. You're probably hearing these words a few times with this presentation. This fantastic quote comes from one of the head Barcelona Academy trainers and fitness trainers, and it's all about players being clever and intelligent because physicality and preparing a player for trials and things can take 2 to 3 months. But developing the technique, the vision, the execution, the decision-making can take a decade. So we know what's most important, and that's what we focus on in the program. We've got some keys for kids to borrow if they want to use any of the equipment and train before school on the grass pitch. Ideally, we don't want them here before 6:45 because the gates won't be open, and they need to be finished by 8:30 and get off the field so they can go and get ready for class. Any kids that want to borrow the keys, they'll be responsible for them, and they'll need to return them to us when they're finished with them. Then they change back to their school uniform or wear their soccer uniform for the rest of the day, depending on how sweaty they are. And we're also happy to help wash their clothes if they put their items on the deck of the PE office before 8:40 a.m. We keep our shipping container clean and tidy. It's divided into 3 segments for our equipment, and if we put our stuff away and we look after it, then we get to keep it and upgrade our stuff. Good little quote from a player that's made a great career of himself at 39, still playing at the highest level, and came from a war-torn country and lost a lot of people along the way, but and physically he's not a huge player, but in terms of his mentality and what he can do, I think that's a great quote. And again, something that we like to show, that the journey as a footballer, both for male and female, is never linear. There's always steps along the way, and there's always challenges. How do you get to the top? Wouldn't have a clue. I would not have a clue. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have all of the answers. What I do know is that through the course of my journey as a footballer and now as a coach and a teacher and a parent, is that everybody has a different top. So your perception of what your child can achieve and what they can achieve is unique to them. And no coach, if the coach tells you they have an answer, they can guarantee you success, then they're far better than any coach I've seen in the world, because all of the research suggests that we don't really know. We can see indicators and effort and behaviours that will probably deter a player from reaching the top, but to absolutely guarantee and say, this is the method, take this recipe, eat this, do that, sleep like this, and become a footballer, it doesn't exist. And anyone that sells that to you as a is selling you air in a jar. We also acknowledge that there's going to be lots of other jobs that come out of this. So a lot of our students, like we mentioned in the coaching section of this presentation, have been former students here that are studying something at university. So in our case, we've got a couple of teachers, an engineer and a business manager that are also still playing football outside of school and coaching outside of school. So they're combining all of their knowledge and making themselves a good little side income and side career. And there's a whole heap of students as well that have gone on to tertiary education from our program, and to list them would take literally hours. We don't need to do that right now. But what's important is that we're trying to develop them to be a intelligent human being that can make their own decisions in life and hopefully make the right decisions under pressure. We do lots of work in the community, probably not so much in the last couple of years post-COVID, as it was a challenge to get kids back out and do excursions and things like that. But what we do like to do is go to our local primary schools and do some clinics and just show what our students are like more than anything. I mean, the coaching is the most simple stuff that you would do on a Foundation of Football Victoria course. But the important thing is that they get to meet our students and engage and see what kind of people we're helping to grow at Keilor Downs College. And we've got our equipment duty, which we'll talk about to our students, but we always have a 1-year apprenticeship rule. So if you're a Year 7 student training after school, your job is to put everything away for that first year, and then you hand over the baton to the next Year 7s. No excuses, no exceptions. If you need to leave early from time to time because you have club training, that's fine. If you're doing it every week, I'll just suggest maybe don't come to our training, because if you can't stay till the end and finish it, I don't think that's fair on the rest of the group. It is all of our own equipment. So all of the money you put towards the Keilor Downs College Soccer School in terms of the fees, that goes directly to pay for the coaches, the external coaches, and to buy equipment for the program. So there's no money left at the end of the year. We don't pay ourselves. George and I are teachers. We just get our teaching salary. Our job is to get the best possible equipment and resources. So recently we bought 6 small-sized goals for passing activities and little finishing activities, and a whole heap of new soccer balls. We usually get the top-end stuff because it lasts longer and it's much nicer to kick. And yeah, that's just basically, if we look after it, we keep it for longer. We don't have to replace things. Our uniform looks something like this. The jacket looks slightly different and the shirt looks slightly different to this image, but it is essentially from the same supplier. That's CM Trading in Campbellfield. You can get all of this from the front office, but in your first package as a Year 7, you'll get this as part of your fees. And then throughout the course of the journey, you can always replace items. So let's say you grow out of your shorts, you may just get a larger pair of shorts and everything else still fits you, you keep it. If you can find the shorts and the socks at Adidas or clearance places for cheaper than that, we encourage you to buy multiple pairs, because basically we just cover our costs with the uniform. There's no money to be made with that. If you're going to replace the whole kit as a whole set, you can do that from the front office. We've usually got it in stock. If we don't, we can get it within 20 working days delivered to the school, or you can pick it up from our supplier in Campbellfield. It is our uniform. You've got to take care of it. You wash it in cold water. Otherwise, it's as a synthetic material, it's going to fade and probably struggle to retain its shape. And you wear it on the days that you have training. What are some of the common questions that we get usually from parents are club training commitments. We are flexible and adaptable. We've got great relationships with Melbourne City, Melbourne Victory and Western United in terms of their technical directors. Probably the best link is the Western United one because of their proximity to us and also having a personal relationship with Anthony Frost. But also a lot of our boys are at Western United at the moment, or a handful of our boys are there. So we're happy with that. Also with your club coaches, we're always happy to have a conversation with them. We're not going to drill the kids with mindless running. Everything we do in training, although there is a physical element to it, it is all based around technique and the skills that they need to develop rather than hard running or purely physical conditioning. If you're going to exit the program before year 10, you may have to move home group because another student will enter the program. Not as much of a problem anymore because we've got a lot of kids that are in the soccer classes that can step in and take someone's spot if they choose to leave or if their behaviour is not up to standard. In terms of inter-school sports, we love kids playing as many sports as possible, competing in the athletics carnival and as many events as they can, swimming carnival, cricket, footy, basketball, every sport they want to do. As long as they're up to date with their schoolwork, we encourage it because there's so much to be learned from playing other sports and it's just fun. And sports should be fun. Never forget that. Final words. George has been here for 35 years. I've been here for 17 years as a teacher, 6 years as a student prior to that. We know the school back to front. There's a good chance that you'll work with us as coaches for the longest period of time that you'll work with any other coach, just because we know how the NPL and community system is. Coaches move, they move on, they get promotions, they go to seniors, they go back to juniors, they move to another club. We plan on being here for a longer period of time and we've got the program in place. So the idea is that we can actually take time to develop you, have conversations away from the pitch that are going to help you become a better person. We've got this journal that we've purchased through Stephen Mork, an A-League player and a professional player. It's a fantastic little journal. It's easy to follow and fill in your goals and targets and achievements. And it is something we've got in stock and we highly recommend that students purchase it for themselves. You can also buy one for friends and stuff. It does have our logo and branding on it, but all of the stuff inside is absolute gold in terms of reflection and making sure that you improve your mental aspect of the game, because we find that it's something that's extremely neglected in football in Australia. And we've tried to address that by getting this made. So what do the kids want from 2025? What do you want as a parent, as a person? It's up to you. We are motivated. We're full of energy. We love to be out there on the field with the kids. We love doing the theory sessions as well and showing them and sharing information with them and learning from them and seeing what's new. And we know the flavors of motivation can vary. And some days you come to training and you're just not there because it's been a rough night at home. Other days you come and you're absolutely buzzing and you're on fire. And we just we just feed off your energy and that fuels the rest of our session. And we love that. You're going to have your ups and downs. The key is, can you find something intrinsic, something inside of you to motivate yourself to keep going when you have a setback, keep going when you have an injury, keep going when you make a mistake. And that's where your growth truly happens. And the end product is hopefully you standing as a student at the end of year 12 graduation, accepting a present from us as coaches for the 6 years that you contributed to the Keelan College Soccer School and getting a round of applause from 800 people in a grand venue, and then seeing the videos of you as a year 7 all the way through to year 12 come up on the screen, bring back those memories and the emotions. We certainly get emotional when we see our kids reach the end of their journey, but so many of them stay in touch with us and come back and train, that connection lasts a lifetime, and that's the special part of the Keelan College Soccer School. So we really look forward to working with you. Have a lovely day.